10. Camilla's interaction with a kid. The Queen visited Bernardo's nursery in East London to give out Paddington bears and teddies left in tribute to Elizabeth after her passing. During the engagement, she joined some children as they played, and she spoke to a little black girl about her pretty bracelets. Footage that showed Camilla lifting the girl's arm by her sleeve went viral, and some on social media also commented on a photograph of Camilla hugging another young girl. Sholama Shogbamimu, author of This Is Why I Resist, wrote on Twitter, "The way Camilla holds this child's hand is very disturbing. I have a strong itch to slap her hand right off. What the hell did she think she was doing to this black child?" Another Twitter user wrote, "Many of the Bernardo's children have already heartbreakingly suffered abuse, trauma, and loss around adults. Camilla did 100% the right thing. She was tentative and gave the child autonomy in their contact. Eventually, she did get the little hand. Bravo, Camilla, you did well." On to number 9, King Charles shaking hands after Queen Elizabeth's passing. Charles is seen in the montage greeting members of the public in London in the aftermath of Queen Elizabeth's passing. The king appears to miss out a black man in the crowd before shaking a white man's hand, with one Twitter user at the time stating this guy did it deliberately. Others pointed out Charles had shaken the hands of other black people during the walkabout. Footage of the moment was viewed 10 million times on Twitter and liked almost 200,000 times. On to number 8, King's coronation. One moment which had viewers on the edge of their seats was the official crowning of King Charles, where it appeared the historic crown wouldn't fit on his head. The Archbishop of Canterbury spent several seconds adjusting the St. Edward's crown as Westminster Abbey fell into complete silence. Mr. Welby appeared to place it on the king's head firmly before giving it a twist in an attempt to keep it on as Charles sat completely still. The crown is known to be heavy, with the monarch once commenting on how his mother, the late Queen, said goodnight to him while wearing it so she could get used to its weight on her head before her coronation in 1953. Queen Camilla solidified her inheritance inside the English royal family when she was crowned alongside King Charles. Although they've been married since 2005, their love story is not exactly a royal fairy tale like those that have been romanticized throughout history. Instead, it has been characterized by a complicated past that began long before Camilla and the new king exchanged wedding vows. Number 7, pen incident. King Charles was faced with another mishap with a fountain pen after last year's fiasco in Belfast. Queen Camilla came to his aid last year as he struggled to get the pen to work, and during the ceremony it seemed the pen also wasn't working, as Charles was seen grimacing as he placed the lid back on top of the pen. The monarch is known to carry a pen around him when he's frequently asked to sign visitors' books, but appears to be letting him down lately. On to number 6, backlash. Charles's troubled past has been exposed numerous times now that he's king. He was accused of trying to involve the British government in some shady, suspicious behavior. A senior member of parliament dubbed Charles Britain's best informed lobbyist after it was revealed in 2015 that he had received secret documents about the British government's inner workings that not even elected ministers had seen. The royal engaged in personal lobbying efforts to senior politicians about a variety of topics, including illegal fishing of the Patagonian toothfish and orders of military cops during the Iraq War, according to 27 memos that were provided to The Guardian and dubbed the Black Spider. Clarence House stated at the time that it is typical for heirs to the throne to be briefed on political topics. However, critics argue that members of the royal family should avoid politics. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. Number 5, the royal family versus Camilla. Even though Charles and Camilla's relationship was pretty serious, Camilla was viewed negatively by most people, including the royals. For one thing, she was thought to be an experienced woman and not aristocratic enough. It is no secret or surprise that Diana's 2 sons never truly accepted Camilla once Charles brought her into the family, and although William might be less vocal about his opinion on her, especially as the future king, Prince Harry never held back his feelings about the Queen. As the notorious 3rd member of Princess Diana and then Prince Charles's marriage, she faces criticism constantly, resembling the evil stepmother from fairy tales. In memoir Spare, Prince Harry says that she was trying to get rid of her other woman reputation and be seen as a legitimate royal wife by bargaining with the British tabloid media at his expense. Harry explained that after marrying Prince Charles in 2005, Camilla sought a revamp and was dubbed the villain by the British press. Because of the connections she was making within the British press that made her dangerous. He stated, additionally, there was an unmistakable willingness on both sides to exchange information. And given that she was on her way to becoming queen consort and that she came from a family that was structured in a hierarchical manner, there were bound to be people or bodies discarded in the open. On to number 4, the phone call transcripts. In the wake of the separation announcement of Diana and Charles, multiple media outlets published the Tampon Gate tape transcript. You just had to be there. Some outlets referred to the tape as Camilla Gate in reference to Charles's mistress. Others speculated whether the tape would prevent Charles from someday ascending to the throne. I mean, I guess we can safely say that it has not. The public was so interested that people could call a phone number to listen to the tape of the actual phone call. A full transcript of the call depicts Charles and Camilla playing the age-old lovers game of refusing to hang up the phone on one another at the end of the call, just before casually dropping in how Charles wants to be Camilla's tampon. Hey, if you're gonna love hard, right? On to number 3, not the Queen's choice. It is not a secret that the extramarital affair between Charles and Camilla rocked the crown to its foundation. Queen Elizabeth, the king's late mother, was furious more than anyone else, so much that the Duchess was not allowed to enter the palace for some time. She was only able to have a meeting with the Queen in 2000 because the late monarch had refused to meet her before then. On to number 2, the public reaction. King Charles' second wife, Camilla, is unlikely to be forgiven for her role in the breakdown of the marriage between Charles and Diana because of Diana's legacy, which has won her a new generation of admirers. In the early 90s, when Charles appeared to confirm rumors that he had been having an affair during an interview with Jonathan Dimbleby in '94, Camilla became a person of interest. Charles stated that Camilla had been a friend for a very long time and will continue to be a friend for a very long time. Susanna Reid, the host of Good Morning Britain, suggested in the beginning of the discussion that the British public had moved past their negative feelings toward Camilla in the 90s following her 2005 marriage to Charles and seamless integration into the royal family. And finally, number 1, the notorious mistress. Diana and Charles welcomed William in 1982 and Harry in 1984. By 1986, Charles had revived his love affair with Camilla. According to Morton and Camilla's biographer Penny Juror, who described Camilla as the most notorious mistress in the world, both Diana and Andrew, Camilla's ex-husband, were aware of their affair. In 1986, Diana also started a series of affairs, one of which was with cavalry officer James Hewitt. During an interview, Diana confessed that she was revered and enamored with Hewitt, but their relationship ended around 1991. Starting off with number 10, his Las Vegas strip party in 2012. In August of 2012, Prince Harry was photographed cavorting with a group of scantily clad women during a wild night out in Las Vegas. The incident embarrassed the royal family and resulted in an apology from Harry for letting them down. The royals just couldn't handle Harry's wild side, clearly. But on to number 9, his Vegas pool game fight. Just months after his Las Vegas strip party scandal, Harry was involved in another embarrassing altercation when he was photographed wrestling a friend while playing a game of pool on vacation in Croatia. Although he later claimed the incident was a play fight, it still didn't go over well with members of the public who were concerned about his behavior. Number 8, attention to down there. One story about Prince Harry's frost-bitten genitals, which gets far too much attention in his memoir, made headlines before Spare even came out. Prince Harry travels to the North Pole in advance of Prince William's wedding to Kate and returns home with frostbitten ears, cheeks, and todger. Upon arriving home, I'd been horrified to discover that my nether regions were also frost-nipped, which is literally an excerpt from the memoir. One very close mate hired a seamstress to make me a bespoke cushion. He writes later when he sets out to the South Pole with actor Dominic West, who would later portray Charles in The Crown. It was made from pieces of the softest fleece and was square, supportive, and enough said. Number 7, docuseries. Since the backlash from the interview didn't seem to do anything to Harry and Meghan, it was followed by their tell-all docuseries that dives into the personal lives of the couple and their experiences at the royal castle, which they felt was super important to share with the rest of the world. And just to be clear, this caused just as much, if not more, backlash, with more people questioning why the couple keeps sharing all these personal stories after claiming they want to keep their personal lives away from the media attention. Many people have questioned if this couple decided to drop this Netflix miniseries to make extra cash, since it doesn't seem the royal cash flow is enough to keep their family stable, and what would be better than milking the story of the royal family and exposing them for more money. Obviously, the royal family did not appreciate these attempts from the couple to bring them more attention while trying to give them a bad rep. But to be fair, the couple themselves don't have the greatest rep among many people. And then, of course, Harry targeted the British media and their attempts to exploit the royal family. During the 3rd episode of the series, Harry describes the role that royal correspondents play in the British media. And number 6, profiting off the family. Even though they aren't gonna be making money as working members of the royal family, the couple has found other ways to collect their checks. Along with their highly controversial Netflix series and the memoir Harry released, I have a feeling this couple has found their sweet spot when it comes to content the audience will pay for. And you guessed it. It usually involves never heard before tea on the very private royal family. Their production company, Archwell Productions, signed the $100 million deal to make the Netflix series, as well as a $25 million deal with Spotify, where Meghan hosts a podcast and discusses real-life issues with celebrities. And even though they were not paid for the interview they had done with Oprah, it cost the royal family their reputation. Meghan and Harry chose to expose the royals in the CBS special, where allegations of racism were brought up, unfair treatment towards Meghan, and even how they were cut off financially by the royals after stepping back from their royal responsibilities. But as juicy as the memoir is, Harry does not seem to hold back his distaste for the relation the royals have with the British media. Harry even insinuated that the relationship the royals have with the press has dictated a lot of kinds of attention and headlines they've had, calling them an extended arm of PR for over 30 years. We already knew how much Harry dislikes the paparazzi, especially after his mother's fatal car crash, so I guess there's no surprise that he decided to go in on the British media and their invasive tactics. But to be fair, I can't blame him for being annoyed with them. I can imagine how tiring it is to have to be careful of how you live to avoid making headlines as often as they already do. Number 5, his performance of God Save the Queen. During an interview, a cringeworthy moment from Harry's youth occurred during a TV interview in 2000 when he launched into an off-key rendition of God Save the Queen that his brother and father could not help but laugh at. The interview was later deemed inappropriate for broadcast by Buckingham Palace due to, Harry's behavior. And number 4, high on laughing gas. The fact that Prince Harry wrote about the birth of his son is not strange. Rather, the specifics he provided were fascinating. He, for instance, used Meghan's laughing gas. He writes, "I took several slow, piercing hits. Meg laughed and rolled her eyes as she bounced on a huge purple ball, a well-known way to push nature. I took a few more blows and now I was also bouncing. A nurse tried to give Meg laughing gas when her contractions started to get stronger and faster, but nothing was left. I could see the nurse slowly forming the idea as she looked at me and the tank. I apologized, Meg snickered. The medical attendant needed to chuckle and immediately changed the canister." Counting down to number 3, frosty family complaints. It was a known fact that many did sympathize with the Sussexes' complaints about their cold reception in Britain and a few royal protocols that did not sit well with them. But some accusations against the palace and the press feel wild and over the top, which is not doing the couple any favors in the opinion polls either. According to sources, the Sussexes are now among the most unpopular public figures in Britain. Shocking. The only royal who is more disliked than both is Prince Andrew. Fox News columnist Lee Cohen suggested Meghan and Harry are on track to be more hated than the Duke of Windsor and Wallis Simpson. Cohen said, like the Windsors before them, the Sussexes have fallen out of favor in Britain for their indecorous behavior. Yikes. But while the Duke of Windsor let his people down by being irresponsible, he and his wife did not seek the spotlight in any meaningful way, nor did they exist, as the Sussexes seemed to, hell-bent to destroy the monarchy. Harry didn't seem to have any problems throwing his brother, father, and even late grandma under a big red double-decker London bus. But can you blame him? Number 2, stripped of titles. Harry was stripped of his military titles, spending a lot of his life serving in the military to losing the title passed on to him from his grandfather, Prince Philip. Another role he will no longer serve is as Commodore-in-Chief for small ships and diving in the Royal Navy. I think we can agree that's probably for the best. So now their reputation is damaged, they don't have the support of a lot of people in the UK, and after their docuseries, Americans also feel a way about this couple. So really, it does sound like they just keep digging themselves a deeper hole. And number 1, twisting the truth. The couple claims to have given up a lot to start a whole new life, but did they? So far, most things they have been doing involve the fact that they haven't given up some aspects of the life they were once living. For one, the title of Harry and Meghan's foundation caused some royal drama because they were told they were no longer allowed to use royal Sussexes. They eventually came to an agreement that the title will be revised after the spring of 2020. In other ways, it just doesn't seem that the couple has let go completely is by the fact that they are profiting off the grief they experienced from the royals and sharing it with people in different forums like the series, interviews, and even the new memoir Harry dropped, Spare, which focuses greatly on how he dealt with all the royal drama and his experience in many incidences throughout his life. Number 10, B-Scare. This caught on camera moment should be definitely labeled awkward. While on a trip to New Zealand, Camilla Parker Bowles and Prince Charles made a number of stops at important locations, all in order to soak in the gorgeous New Zealand culture. Well, things didn't exactly go to plan while they were meeting a Tuatara reptile. Let's explain. As noted by Sky News, the royal couple visited the Orokonui Eco Sanctuary in the South Island near Dunedin. While at the sanctuary, they got up close and personal with a little lizard-like creature, and from the photos, they seemed both enthralled and repelled. But things went sort of downhill. As the couple were intrigued by the little guy, a bumblebee did a straight dive towards Camilla, who swatted the buzzing creature away. So what did the bee do? It went for Charles. And the king yelped in fright. That's kind of funny. Number 9, when asked about Prince Harry, it literally felt like the sky had fallen on the monarchy when Prince Harry and Meghan announced they would be stepping back from the roles as senior royals. But that was just the beginning. Their departure led to a rather public and very brutal feud between Harry and members of the royal family, particularly William and Charles. Not too long after the news dropped about Harry and Meghan giving up their roles, Camilla attended the 40th anniversary of the Prospect Hospice Swindon. As noted by Entertainment Tonight, a reporter shouted to her, "Will you miss Harry and Meghan?" as she was leaving this event. Here's where things got awkward. She paused and smiled and said, "Of course," while walking away. The whole thing was pretty cringeworthy. Some people took to Twitter to express their thoughts on the awkward moment, with one saying that the body language doesn't match up. I'm gonna have to agree with that. Number 8, the difficult umbrella. We've all had fights with an umbrella, there's no doubt about it. Ever walk down the city streets of New York or Chicago during a rainstorm and your umbrella just refuses to open because of the wind? There's no graceful way to recover from that, and it turns out that even royals have to deal with particularly awkward incidents like those. As noted by the Daily Mail, Camilla and Charles were visiting Malta, and as they stepped off their plane, the rather blustery conditions proved to be quite difficult for Camilla and her umbrella. As she joined her husband outside the plane, Camilla was met by a huge gust of wind that basically forced her into fighting with her umbrella. She just could not get it to stay open. Luckily for her, a gracious man who was not her husband, might we add, helped her with the device, and she successfully got off the plane and joined the crowd. Camilla's hair also got a bit tousled in the wind, but she walked it off like a pro. Number 7, the Queen and Camilla. Many of us know the late Queen to be a small woman with colorful clothing and great hats, but she clearly knows how to stand her ground. By doing so, she helped to create a very awkward scenario with Camilla in December of 2020. As noted by Express, Camilla joined the Queen, King Charles, and other senior senior royals in one of their first public appearances together. The untrained eye, the event at which people socially distanced, looked pretty normal. But body language expert Judy James explained that there was a lot of unspoken tension between the monarch and Camilla. According to James, Camilla stood in a very awkward stance, which was only heightened by the Queen's apparent confidence. James also noted that Queen Elizabeth spoke to the band that was playing as well as her family members, with one exception. The Queen actively chats to the band, engaging Charles in the conversation while Camilla stands back slightly with her rigidly placed arms suggesting an air of tension or awkwardness. James said, "We wonder what was going on behind the scenes after that event ended." Number 6, awkward hug. You don't have to be a fan of the royals to know that they're not the most affectionate bunch. Take Charles and Diana into consideration. At their peak, people thought that they were the picture of love and happiness, but if you look back at pictures, they seem to barely acknowledge each other, let alone show any kind of physical affection. While things seem to be a far rosier between Camilla and Charles, PDA is still rare, so when a fan from Korea hugged Camilla during a walk around Liverpool, she appeared shook. As noted by Hello magazine, Camilla was visiting Liverpool and saying hello to the crowd when Monsoon Kim, a big fan, embraced the Duchess. "I was so excited. I've never seen a member of the royal family before," she said. "I was passing and heard the then prince and his wife were coming and decided to say, I hope I wasn't wrong to give her a hug." Camilla's body definitely looked pretty stiff during the hug, but Kim revealed that the Duchess said, "Nice to meet you," after the brief embrace. Hopefully the awkward interaction didn't throw her too much. On to number 5, awkward couple. There's a lot to be said about having such a public life. Camilla, especially in her proximity to King Charles, has been in the spotlight for decades, so the cameras really have captured her at her happiest and most miserable. As noted by the Daily Star, the opening ceremony for the Commonwealth Games in 2018 captured what appeared to be a very down-in-the-dumps Camilla, thought to be miserable and uninterested. If you don't believe us, you might take the word of a body language expert, Judy James. The expert in question told the Daily Star that the event saw Camilla looking anxious, reluctant, and lacking in bounce, and she certainly appeared that way in most photos from that event. James even went as far as to compare Camilla to younger royals like William and Kate. Charles and Camilla appeared at times anxious and reluctant and lacking in any youthful bounce that could imply keenness. Unlike the current royals and the younger royals, they tend to have the effect of making you worried rather than happier. Yikes, talk about awkwardness. Number 4, Tampon Gate. How can we talk about Queen Camilla's awkward moments without bringing up the infamous Tampon Gate scandal? While not a caught on camera moment for Camilla, it is a caught on tape dilemma, and it's so dramatic that it had to be included. As noted by the Mirror, Prince Charles and Camilla were romantically involved for ages, and a secret recording of one of their phone conversations leaked. Cue Camilla Gate. We'll give you all the details. It was 1989, Charles and Diana were still married, and Camilla was still married to Andrew, and the heir to the throne back then and Camilla were chatting on the phone about private time they wanted to spend together. I'll give you some of the more PG snippets from the conversation. Camilla says, "I need you all week, all the time," to which Charles replied, "I'll just live inside your trousers or something. It would be much easier." Yes, the future king of Britain, guys. The audio recording leaked in 1993 and was published in People with the headline, "Charles and Camilla, the tape." Safe to say it was a very awkward look for those involved. Number 3, Princess Anne and Queen Camilla. The royal family is all about stoicism and looking put together, but that steely demeanor may have gone a bit far on Princess Anne's part. One of her interactions with Camilla was beyond awkward. As noted by Express, Anne and Camilla were pictured together at a formal event. Body language expert Darren Stanton took a look at the interaction in question and immediately pointed to the awkward tension between the two women. Camilla's hands are not visible. This is a sign of slight anxiety and insecurity, he said. Pointing to Camilla holding a small purse, he noted, holding her bag, Camilla's hand position, although taken in a single still shot, appears to be less confident than Princess Anne. Of course, Stanton pointed out Anne's strong personality as having been a factor, but the history between the two women should also be noted. Royal biographer Sally Beadle Smith told Vanity Fair that Anne and Andrew, Camilla's ex-husband, dated in the early 70s. Possibly a factor between the two women that still contributed to the icy tension between them. Number 2, the tension-filled wedding. Weddings can come with heaps of stress, and Charles and Camilla's was full of tension. First and foremost, Queen Elizabeth refused to attend the ceremony while she had given her formal approval for the couple to tie the knot. She did not show up at the actual wedding, making for a rather awkward turn of events. While many speculated that her lack of attendance was a sign she didn't approve of the marriage behind closed doors, it was reported the Queen didn't attend because she is the head of the Church of England and didn't want to publicly promote divorce and remarriage. Blanca Cobb, body language expert, told Geo News that Charles's sons, William and Harry, were visibly uncomfy during the wedding and the photos, evident to pretty much everyone. William specifically was analyzed by Cobb and described as nervous, stiff, and plastered, as it was obvious that he was feeling some anxiety. As for the happy couple, it's hard to say exactly how they were impacted by all the drama, but it couldn't have been the most painless experience. And finally, number 1, Camilla and Kate. This awkward interaction might take the cake. As noted by the Mirror, Camilla was spotted with Kate Middleton and Queen Letizia of Spain at an event in 2019. Sounds harmless so far. Just a couple of international royals gabbing, right? Wrong. Kate was accused of intentionally ignoring Camilla during her conversation with Letizia, as the Duchess of Cornwall was pretty much left in the background of a conversation between the two royals. In the caught on camera moment, Camilla can be spotted trying to engage in conversation and seemingly butt in when she got an opportunity. At one point, Camilla even said something to Kate directly, but Kate just carried on talking with Letizia like Camilla wasn't there. Some people took to social media to point out the Duchess of Cambridge's behavior, with one user writing that the video was awful. So was it awkward? 100% yes. Did Kate intentionally ignore Camilla? It's difficult to say. Maybe she was just having a riveting conversation. Either way, it was not a cute look. Number 10, awkward encounter. King Charles and Liz Truss had a rather awkward greeting at the first weekly audience, which is essentially a brief but entirely private conversation between the monarch and PM each week. The awkward exchange between the two has been captured on camera and was being shared on Twitter for obvious reasons. In the video, we see them enter through the imperial entryways flanked by royal residence staff. And after that, the Prime Minister makes a bow and starts to step forward to shake the king's hand. Truss said, "Your Majesty, great to see you again." However, Charles responded in a manner that may have been unexpected. Back again, Truss responded, "Well, it's a great pleasure," to the monarch's likely joking comment. The king could then be heard to say, "Dear, oh dear." Anyway, turns out Charles can be shady too. Charles had also announced he would not be attending COP27 in Egypt after Truss supposedly objected to the monarch making an appearance at the International Climate Change Summit. The BBC has since reported that it was a mutual decision with mutual friendship and respect. There was agreement that the king would not attend, a Buckingham Palace spokesperson claimed. However, Twitter users have found humor in the awkward moment. Lecturer in diplomacy at Oxford University, Jennifer Cassidy described it as a scene straight from The Office, political awkwardness and unintentional comedy at its finest. On to number 9, the royal affair. This one is no big secret. The Princess of Wales was very much aware of Charles cheating on her with Camilla. Pretty awkward. His mistress at the time was regarded as a villain long before Princess Diana and Charles filed for divorce. Additionally, she was resented up until the Princess of Wales' untimely passing in '97. The Duchess of Cornwall was not specifically held accountable for Princess Diana's unlucky passing, but after Diana's passing in the car accident, they did, however, discover a newfound hatred for her greatest foe. And because of that hatred, Camilla had to hide for months as the situation escalated. If Camilla had never gotten herself in this mess with Charles, being one of the most hated royals would never have been something she'd have to worry about. But it makes you question, if he cheated on Diana, who knows if he's cheated on Camilla? And was able to successfully hide it from her, even though he failed to do so from Diana. Number 8, the palace staff. The then Prince of Wales' affair with the Duchess of Cornwall, which occurred while Charles was married to Diana, is well known to everyone. And it's safe to assume that some members of the royal family are dissatisfied with the fact that their affair is getting screen time on Netflix's The Crown Season 4, making it by far one of the biggest royal relationship scandals. In a well-known interview with News of the World in 1995, the prince's valet Ken Stronach shared shocking details about Charles's affair. He was even fired because of his breach of confidentiality. Stronach claimed at the time that he scrubbed grass stains from Charles's pajamas after the prince would sneak out of bed in the middle of the night to meet with Camilla. Charles even made sure his staff made his bed look like he had slept there by ruffling it up. It was very elaborate, but awkward. No one was fooled. Number 7, jealousy. He had his first significant encounter with disapproving public opinion during his marriage with Diana. Archival footage of the couple touring Australia shows how jealous he was of how much popular she was. Diana confirmed that Charles envied the public's devotion to his wife in her explosive 95 interview with Martin Bashir. In her words, the pressure on both of us as a couple with the media was phenomenal and misunderstood by a great many people. We'd be going around for Australia, for instance, and all you could hear was, "Oh, she's on the other side," with Diana clarifying that the waiting crowds were expressing their disappointment that Charles was closer to them rather than Diana. Awkward. Number 6, Tampon Gate. One of the worst kept secrets of the royal family was Charles's extramarital affair with his now wife and queen, Camilla. After Charles and Diana formally announced a separation in '92, a transcript of a phone call between Charles and Camilla from '89 leaked to the media, with the whole incident being referred to as Camilla Gate. The transcript revealed some rather awkward and bizarrely erotic details in the secret relationship. Charles starts off with the usual banter of how he cannot live without her, but then progressed towards getting into her pants. Camilla jokingly replied, asking him if he would turn into her knickers, and then came the iconic answer from Charles, "Into a tampon, that would be nice." I don't know about that, Charles. But anyway, number 5, cheating scandals. The royal scandals aren't complete with a little sprinkle of cheating. The then prince infamously had an affair with Camilla while married to Diana, and if you're unfamiliar with the story, the late princess had known about the affair and even had affairs of her own, but the lack of attention she was getting from her husband, also the father of Harry and William, was upsetting for her. After the transcript of a phone call between Charles and Camilla was leaked, which, side note, is very invasive, it revealed their affair because of how sexual the phone call was and was later named, as we just mentioned, the Tampon Gate scandal. All the Princess Diana lovers also made it their mission to become extreme haters of Charles, and even Camilla, leaving the royal affair and the two involved very unpopular amongst many. The HBO documentary The Princess even insinuates that Charles may have been jealous of how much more popular Diana was than the prince himself. Yikes. That's a little embarrassing, but to be fair, the late princess was a true icon in more than one sense. I mean, her fashion choices are still being recreated in this day and age. Her impact was crazy. Now for Charles, don't beat me up, but I don't think we can say the same. Now, although we aren't sure how the two sons feel about their parents' tragic ending, this family does seem to stick by each other, because even when Prince Harry made the big boy decision to move out of the royal palace and lifestyle that came with it as a father, Charles made sure his son and daughter-in-law had a comfortable start to their new life, even though I'm sure he was unhappy with their decision. But number 4, political scandals. King Charles had once been accused of attempting to influence the British government. In 2015, Charles received confidential papers on the inner workings of the British government that even elected ministers hadn't seen. How did he manage to get his hands on these papers? I have a feeling the excuse is that he was a part of the monarchy, but that's not a good enough reason. The Guardian received 27 memos dubbed the Black Spider memos because it showed that the royal prince was somehow engaged in efforts about a range of issues, from orders of military helicopters during the Iraq War to illegal fishing of the Patagonian toothfish. The controversy here is that some people believe it is normal for a royal to be involved in political affairs, while some think the members of the royal family should stay out of politics. But what do you think? Let me know in the comments section if you believe royals should be involved in politics or should just stick to the other royal duties that should steer clear of the political side. Number 3, financial scandal. Another scandal for us to talk about. Charles allegedly accepted unofficial commissions from a previous Qatari prime minister for his charitable endeavors. Sounds fishy. Charles had also drawn criticism for his lavish spendings. The king has 6 homes on his estate, 11 secretaries, a large staff of servants, many expensive cars, and an annual salary of $20 million. I get that he's a king, but it's very interesting to know not only does he have this insane annual income, but on top of that, the whole family is extremely, and might I add, suspiciously secretive of their wealth. And where exactly are they possibly getting this amount of money? The taxpayers. For any theories, I want to know what you think they could be doing for them to be able to afford this lifestyle. Number 2, charity scandal. Another scandal the king had been involved in. British police had launched an investigation with Charles's charity, the Prince's Trust, after reports of a cash for honors scheme. Earlier this year, accusations were made that a close aide Michael Fawcett offered a Saudi tycoon a knighthood in exchange for $2 million in donations. The investigation started after it was reported that Fawcett stepped down from his role as the chief executive of the foundation after being accused of misconduct. It was reported that tens of thousands of dollars were paid to make up for links to the prince. So basically, they were trying to bribe Fawcett by offering him a royal title in exchange for money which allegedly would be going towards their foundation. Suspicious. And finally, number 1, not the people's king. As hard as it might be for Charles, a key part of being the king is winning over the people. And as overwhelming as his scandalous past has been, it's no surprise that there are still people who do not care for him as king. Many reports from royal sources have claimed that the newly appointed king has waited 70 years for this moment and wants to do as much as he can to become a progressive monarchy and also to win over the hearts of the nation as well as internationally. But because of their actions, media outlets and those who are engaged in the royal family drama, like us, have been diving more into the history of the royals, which, let me tell you, is not the most perfect or influential history in the world. Tainted by the countless controversies and scandals, the royal family has been catching a lot of heat about how they are not using their power for the greater good, but are rather abusing it while also remaining secretive. But what are your thoughts? Do you think the royal family is being smart about the power they have? Considering the scandals the king and other members have been a part of, is it acceptable for them to be the way they are portrayed in the media? Let me know what you think in the comments below. But that is all for today. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more juicy royal updates. And I'll catch you next time on The Rich Life.